lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
How quickly the narrative changes. Just a few days ago, the Democrats were out there saying, we're not trying to give health care to illegal immigrants. But now, of course, they have to acknowledge that they're doing just that. And this is what we're going to see being discussed over here today with Markwayne Mullin, educating Jake Tapper on what's really going on. But before we get these clips, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
So we've talked, CNN has talked to so many federal workers who are really, in addition to being upset that they're not going to be paid, which happens during government shutdowns, some of them are worried about these mass firings that are being threatened. Are you worried at all about the Republican Party getting any blowback?
Well, it's the Democrats that's holding the American people hostage and these federal employees hostage. Keep in mind, what we propose is a clean CR, meaning not one word has changed since the Democrats, Chuck Schumer and all those that voted no today, a year ago voted on the same CR. They voted on the same CR in December. They voted on the same CR in January before President Trump was sworn in. And then all of them but 10 bailed in March. Not one word of this has changed. So why is it now that they decide to hold the federal workers and the military hostage over it? I will say this, though, for all the military and the federal workers that are concerned right now, the military pay went out in full today. Russ over at OBM made sure that was going to be happening. Also, all federal employees will be paid in full tomorrow. Will this be? Will they be affected on the 15th and 16th? Yes. If the Democrats want to continue to hold them hostage, because why? Because their hatred towards President Trump. Because what policy changes are they fighting against? What is it that is so bad about this clean CR that they voted no against today? Why did they vote for it a year ago?
So just to translate, CR means continuing resolution. Just to translate from Senatorese, continuing resolution, it's just a government funding bill. It means it's the same basic resolution as before. What Democrats say they're fighting for is that there are these Obamacare subsidies that are going to expire at the end of the year, and this is the time that they have leverage to force Republicans to pass them, and otherwise people will lose health insurance.
Well, keep in mind, this subsidy that they're supposedly talking about was a subsidy that Democrats, when they were in control of the White House and the Senate and the House back in 21, voted to expire. This was a COVID subsidy. They always intended to expire. It was never supposed to be permanent. Keep in mind that they had full control. If they wanted to make it permanent, they could have. But the sell to the American people to pay this tax bill, which was $350 billion, was to say, listen, this is just to help the insurance companies get over the hump because insurance is so expensive because of COVID going right now. Well, COVID's over and insurance companies are making a ton of money. Why do we need to keep the subsidy going? Why should taxpayers continue to fund a subsidy for the insurance companies to get their premiums paid for? So it's a hard position for them to explain.
So there are, as you know, no doubt, about 300,000 Oklahomans who use these subsidies that we're talking about. It helps them reduce their premium health care costs. Are you against extending them at all?
What I'm against is continue providing funding, because it's not just a subsidy that they're trying to do away with. Keep in mind, they're also trying to strike the language $1.5 billion to extend government funding for 4 weeks. They want taxpayers to pay $1.5 billion, which, by the way, is $600 billion over what our national defense budget is. And what they're trying to do is strike $1.5 trillion. Yes, thank you. I appreciate you correcting me on that. $1.5 trillion, which is $600 billion over what our national defense bill is. Now, let's think about what that does. Basically, what that strikes is all the fraud, waste, and abuse that one big, beautiful bill went after. And one of the huge costs in that is funding, taxpayer funding for illegal aliens. They're wanting the American people to continue funding insurance for those that should never been in this country to begin with. Well, and I know Chuck Schumer says that that's not.
No. I've looked into it. I know what you're talking about. I just want to explain to our viewers. So there is a provision that the Democrats want to get rid of, and Part of it is Medicaid reimbursements, emergency Medicaid reimbursements to hospitals, some of which does go to undocumented immigrants using healthcare there to those hospitals. Some of it is also for people who are in this country legally but are not citizens, people who are refugees or people who have temporary protected status.
Well, actually, it goes further than that, because in the One Big Beautiful Bill, it has a line saying cut and fraud, waste, and abuse, specifically saying that Medicaid and Medicare benefits cannot go to an illegal alien. Underneath this CR, that it's going to cost the taxpayers $1.5 trillion to keep government open for 4 weeks, it specifically, by line, X's that part out. So
Right,
it's more than just reimbursement. This is actually allows them to have Medicaid or Medicare inside, if it's a state funded or if it's federal funded. So it goes much farther than just reimbursement to hospitals.
Is there any off-ramp here? Do you see, are there any Democrats and Republicans talking about a way forward, surely, that their cooler heads can prevail? There can be some sort of a coming together?
Absolutely. There's a lot of Democrats that would love to vote for a clean CR, because they voted for it 13 times underneath Biden, and they voted for, as I said, this same CR 4 times already. The problem is they're being held hostage once again by Chuck Schumer.
So once again, we can see that the Democrat arguments come crumbling apart as soon as they're faced with just a little bit of scrutiny, all right? Because as Markwayne Mullin points out, hey, guess what? The same continuing resolution has been voted on and approved by Democrats 4 times already. So what's changed? Oh, the Obamacare subsidies are going to run out, something that was supposed to expire anyway because supposedly it was a COVID emergency. But now the Democrats want to maintain that high level of spending because they realize that Obamacare basically cannot stand on its own 2 feet. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, right, how quickly does all of this stuff change? Because the headline just a couple days ago was, hey, fact check, Donald Trump falsely claims Democrats want to give free health care to illegal aliens in the government shutdown battle. But then, of course, Donald Trump turns around, does the whole kung fu feng shui thing on him and says, hey, here's all the stuff the Democrats want to actually get rid of from the big, beautiful bill. Ending Medicaid funding for most non-citizens, ending enhanced FMAP for emergency care to illegal immigrants, closing the California loophole, ending Medicare funding for most non-citizens, ending Obamacare funding for most non-citizens, repealing the Obamacare special rule for immigrants. Okay, so it's even worse than we thought. It wasn't just about the Medicaid spending at emergency rooms. It's actually the Democrats wanting to take a line through all of these items to basically open the door and allow Medicaid to be used in general for illegal immigrants, right? And that, of course, is something that Markwayne Mullin also points out. And that actually left Jake Tapper a little bit dumbfounded, right? This is even worse than I thought. I didn't know about any of this. But hey, at least Jake Tapper did actually correct Markwayne Mullin when he was saying 1.5 billion, when we know it's a simple fact that 1.5 trillion would be the cost for just 4 weeks of the government extension. All right. So why in the world would the Democrats want to have this fight now as opposed to in 4 weeks when we have to, of course, have our new budget battles anyway? And of course, the simple answer to that is trying to protect all of the illegal immigrants in this country. And by the way, even though the left, the mainstream media, has been going crazy on immigration and Donald Trump, disappearing people, rounding up folks and all this stuff, all right, even though the left has been going nuts over all of that, guess what is still true? According to the New York Times recent poll, we have 54% of American voters still thinking that every single illegal immigrant in this country should be deported back to their own country, whether or not they're violent criminals, right? Every single one must go. So despite the nonstop campaign against Donald Trump and his deportation efforts and ICE and all of that stuff, guess what? The American people still want the closed borders, still want the mass deportations, and still don't want illegal immigrants receiving healthcare at the taxpayer expense. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.